morning, babes. I am taking you through a week of workouts this week, which I'm so excited for because I've never done that yet. But I have been wanting to do that, and I feel like it'd be really cool to show you what my week of workouts look like and just having a little bit deeper dive into what my week looks like and how I train. I just got off of my menstrual, and so I had a few days off during my menstrual because I have endo symptoms. I usually just try to allow my body to rest and do more active recovery. So I did play golf. We had a wedding. There was lots of dancing. I did walks. I just focused on keeping my steps high. But in terms of like training and lifting heavy, that's just like non-existent for the days that I'm on my periods. My body just shuts down completely, and it's a lot of just symptom management during that time period. But coming off of that, I usually have a lot of energy, and so this week is going to be a really good week to show you again how I train and just the intensity of training when I'm not on my menstrual. So I already woke up and started to get ready a little bit, but I do like to read my word and just talk to God for a little bit to start my day. So we're gonna do that first. I wanted to spend extra time doing that, but I did wake up late, so we're just gonna read a little bit of the Bible, talk to God, and then we're gonna get changed and go to the gym. Do electrolytes during my workout. It kind of helps replenish the minerals and things that I'll lose during sweat. These aren't the usual electrolytes that I use, but they're pretty good. They're by Cure. Cure was one of our brand sponsors for our FitFest event.
Okay, so starting off with a warm-up, you always want to make sure you're doing a proper warm-up that is in conjunction with the exercises that you're about to do. So here we're doing some walking scoops for your hamstrings. You want to get a nice deep stretch here by sending those hips back and reaching as far down as you can with those toes before staying all the way back up, reaching to the ceiling. Next, we have some hip hinges here, and it's just practicing that motion of pushing those hips back, getting those glutes activated, waking up those glutes, waking up those hamstrings, and also working on stability. This is a really great time here to work on your breath work as well. Next, we're going to go into some squats here, and I like to take my shoes off in the workout, which I'll go into explaining why in just a moment here. But we're going to do some alternating Cossack squats is what they're called. So it's kind of a lateral squat, bending down on one side. Ideally, if you can, keeping the whole foot on the floor as much as possible. This is really good for opening up those hips, stretching out those inner thighs. Lastly, to top it off with some glute activation, we're going to go into a bridge. We're going to pump out 20 here, and then we're going to hold for about 10 to 15 seconds here at the top, making sure your core is nice and tight and engaged. do some hip thrusts. I like to do hip thrusts at the beginning of my workout because this is the lift that I want to go the heaviest in. Because I'm focused on glute growth and glute strength, hip thrust is a really good exercise, if not one of the best exercises to target glutes and hamstrings together and really isolate glute growth. So we're starting off with a warm-up set. You always want to warm up first, and you want to make sure that, although you can't really quite see it here with that setup, you can't see it quite that well, but you want to make sure that bar is stacked right on top of those hips with a nice padding there. Heels are going to be stacked underneath the knees. Don't let the heels go too far forward or too far back, because then it changes how you feel the exercise. So you want to inhale as you bend your hips, and then exhale as you thrust all the way at the top, aiming for a nice tabletop position at the top with the abs and core, of course, engaged. We're going to do about 3 to 4 sets total with 8 to 10 reps for each set. And you want to make sure that you're going heavier with each set as well. So I'm going to start adding anywhere between 10 to 15 pounds on each side with each consecutive set.
All right, so now that is over with, that is going to be our hardest lift for today. Mostly everything else is accessory work, it just uses dumbbells, so whew, that should have been the heaviest and hardest lift that you had. You always want to do the thing that's going to take the most energy and the most effort at the beginning of your workout, because that's when you have the most energy to put in. And so you don't want to leave something like hip thrusts or deadlifts or heavy squats, barbell squats towards the end of the workout, because you're just not going to be able to go as heavy, and you're just not going to be able to have that same endurance and that energy to stabilize in that heavy compound movement. So that's my tip of the day. A lot of people do ask me why I don't wear shoes sometimes in the gym and I just go barefoot. And the reason is basically a very scientific word called kinesthetic awareness. And a lot of times, especially shoes nowadays that are either trendy or a lot of Nike lifting shoes, I use Nike a lot, so that's my reference. The shoes can sometimes throw off your balance and your proprioception, and so being able to work out barefoot increases your proprioception, increases your kinesthetic awareness, your body's awareness to the environment around it, so how it's grounding into the floor, the weight that it's lifting, the environment around it, things like that. And so I love lifting without shoes because it helps me to feel stronger, it helps me to feel the movement a lot better, it helps me to focus on that mind-muscle connection, versus like if I'm wearing a shoe that may not be the most stable for my foot or for that exercise, it can really throw off how my muscle is stabilizing, how my muscle is being used in that movement.
Alright, so next we're going to go into some dumbbell RDLs, otherwise known as dumbbell Romanian deadlifts. It's just a long name for an exercise that's going to continue targeting the glutes and hamstrings. Your upper body is going to work a little bit here too, because you're going to be holding some weights. You want to stabilize those shoulders and that back in order to maintain good form. I am using my lifting straps here so that I can focus on going heavy enough for my lower body without worrying about my grip or my grip strength while holding those dumbbells. So you're in this motion just like we practice in our warm-up. We want to send those hips all the way back, getting a nice big deep stretch in the glutes and hamstrings. And then in order to stand up, you want to press those feet into the floor, squeeze the butt cheeks together, and then come up from there. The torso stays the same, so you're not bending or arching your back in order to come up. You can see here that my head is in line with my spine, and my spine is in line with my hips, so there's not too much bending there. Next, we're going to go slightly lighter, and this is because we're going to work into some unilateral exercises. Unilateral is just a fancy name for saying single leg exercise, and we're going to go into some reverse lunges here. You can see that I'm bending more at the hips, so my whole entire spine kind of hinges forward as my hips hinge back, and this is because, again, I want to target the glutes mostly in this movement. You want to aim to bend at a 90-degree angle at the least for both your front and back leg, while still keeping 80 to 90% of your weight in that front leg, because that is your working side. You don't have to touch the floor, however, if you do, it's totally fine. Just be careful with the joints and try not to like bounce off of the floor or use that as like a resting point. You want to stay in motion and you want to keep that muscle under tension the whole entire time. For this specific exercise, we're going to do 3 sets of about 10 to 12 per side. Another way to do progressive overload isn't necessarily to up the weight, but to change the motion that is going to be more challenging for you. So Here, how I'm doing progressive overload is I'm slowing the movement down and then I'm going into a standing single leg balance at the top of the movement. That is again going to challenge me more without having to go heavier, and it's going to target more of those glutes, also help work on those calves and just stabilizing muscles overall. Lastly, to top off this lower body day, we're going to go into a sumo squat, and you can really do this movement with any type of weight that you want to, between like a dumbbell and a kettlebell, or if you're already fatigued, you could definitely do it body weight as well. Just really slow down the movement and really squeeze every last drop that you got. This is your finisher. So we're going to go for 2 to 3 sets for 15 to 20 reps. And you can see that here that I am again hinging from those hips, so my torso is still leaning forward, my hips are being sent back. And again, this is make sure that we're really targeting the glutes here. Your quads are going to feel this as well. Your inner thighs are going to feel this as well. And overall your core as well, to stabilize and help hold that weight up. Okay, we finally made our post-workout breakfast. I had a little bit of an accident because when I was scrambling the eggs, I was rushing and was pouring salt on it, and I opened the wrong side of the salt. So it was like the part where it just fully opens the whole entire thing, and so all the salt just dumped into the eggs. I had to like scoop it out. I was trying not to waste any eggs. I had to scoop it out and then add another egg back in. But we made it to breakfast, and this is my post-workout. I like to prioritize carbs and protein. So typically lately I've been doing eggs and this like veggie and cheese scramble. And I've been loving mushrooms, onions. This week I added in some bell peppers, and then like I said, cheese. Mushrooms and onions are really good for hormonal support. So if you deal with any hormonal dysfunction like I do, with like endometriosis, PCOS, things like that, having veggies like this are really good for you, helping to stabilize as much as possible your hormones. And then I did some organic strawberries. I always, like since I was a little girl, always had eggs with ketchup. So that's just my thing. Let me know if I'm the only one, or if I'm not the only one, or if I'm just weird. But anyways, I'm excited to eat this and then get our day started. I hope you enjoy day 1 of this week of workouts. It's a leg day, so tomorrow we're gonna hit upper body, and then I think Wednesday we're gonna do a full body, more conditioning type of day, and then we'll see where the rest of the week takes us. All right, good morning. It is day 2 of a week of workouts with me, and today is going to be upper body and cardio. We were supposed to do cardio yesterday, but we did not make time for that, so today we gotta lock in. I'm still in my PJs and I need to still get ready, but this morning I read my Bible, journaled, had my pre-workout already, some lemon water with sea salt, apple cider vinegar, ginger, and a little bit of raw honey. So I'm nourished spiritually and physically, and now we just gotta get our body moving. I am debating if I want to do some sort of pre-workout, like energy boosting though, because I'm still a little tired right now, and I don't normally do any sort of pre-workout just because it's really tough on my gut, and I have a lot of gut sensitivities with like the endometriosis and things like that. So I try to be really gentle on my gut, but I'm thinking we might need something today to just kind of make today a really good energizing workout. I normally save my matcha for after my workout as like my post-workout treat and just something to energize me for the latter half of my day. But I don't know, I think we're gonna have to figure something out for this workout. We'll see. But I'm excited to take you guys along. It's gonna be a good upper body workout. We have push, we have pull. I think we're gonna target all upper body. I don't typically like to do like back and bis and then chest and triceps on another day. I like to work all of my upper body on upper body day, and same with my lower body, all of my lower body on lower body day. And I find that just having that more repetition and more work on my muscles more consistently, rather than dedicating one day every week to a certain group of muscles, works a lot better for me and for my clients in terms of muscle development and strength and overall results. So I like doing that, and it also helps
with recovery too, because you're not essentially trying to overtrain one specific muscle in one day and then, burning out, but rather like spreading it across multiple days throughout the week, and your body just adapts better overall. So that's what we're doing today. We're gonna do all of the upper body. And I just realized the other day that I haven't been on the Stairmaster in probably like a year at least. So I think it's time to get on the Stairmaster, and we're gonna do Stairmaster all of this week for the cardio. Just thinking about it though makes me really tired, so I think I need to definitely get some pre-workout in so that I can have the energy to do that post-workout. All right, let's get ready. Okay, so my husband likes these Ghost caffeine energy drinks. They're not necessarily a pre-workout, but he does use them as a pre-workout. I think they're just not that great for you to be putting into your body. However, I did like a quarter or maybe a third of the can over ice. I think that'll be just enough to boost without over consuming. Okay, and then I just realized that I have a meeting in 30 minutes, so we need to get to the gym. It's a casual meeting, so I think I could do my cardio while on the call. So we'll try to get this lifted in 30 minutes and then do cardio while we're in the meeting. Gym all to ourselves again. We love that for us. All right, so we have even less time now to try to get this workout in. I'm thinking maybe we start with a warm-up and then do the cardio first, get on the meeting for a little bit, and then hop off and then do the weights. I think that's what we're gonna.
Okay, so it's upper body day, so we got to make sure we lubricate those joints and make sure that our upper body is nice and mobile and warmed up. So here I'm starting with some up and overs here, just grabbing a long band, and you want to start going up and over straight first before you alternate single-sided stretches here. Next, we're going to go into some just pulls, just kind of pulling the band apart, keeping your arms fairly straight here, warming up the back and the shoulders, getting the chest nice and stretched out. You want to make sure you're not working into the traps here and just getting a nice big open stretch with the chest, and again isolating those shoulder muscles. Next, we're going to go into a long sort of Superman position here, continuing to mobilize and stretch out those shoulder joints. So you want to reach nice and long with those arms here. Coming up, you're going to isolate a little bit of that lower back and core. You want to bring those hands right behind your small of your back, and then reaching over straight forward over your head. Next, we're going to go into some isolated rotations for your T-spine or your thoracic spine, which is the center of your back. I'm going to take my elbow here and I'm going to reach down to my hand and then open up here to get a nice big stretch. Lastly, we're going to end with isolating some shoulders, some arms, as well as warming up that core with some bear plank taps. Okay, and first movement of the day is going to be some slow eccentric push-ups. You're going to let yourself drop all the way to the ground, resetting those hands and then pushing off of the ground. You want to try to go as low as you can onto the ground and then pushing yourself from the ground up. This is going to really help strengthen yourself in that push-up position. And if you can't quite yet do that position, you can go ahead and bend your knees. I'm going to start with my cardio today instead of my lifts because I have a meeting right now. So I'm going to start on Stairmaster. It's been probably a year on this since I've done the Stairmaster, if not more. So this is going to be a little bit intense for me, but you want to start with a moderate speed. So anywhere between like 5 to 8, depending on what type of Stairmaster you're going on. The speeds can definitely vary. After about 30 minutes on the Stairmaster, we're going to go right into some lat pulls here, just very basic, seated. You want to keep those hands slightly wider than shoulder width, and then making sure you're pulling with your back. So you don't want those traps to come up. You want those elbows to go down into the ground. And you also want to make sure to not over pull here too. You want to make sure you stop the bar right below the chin. A lot of people over pull, and then at that point, your back's not working anymore. You're working your traps, joints, other things that we don't really want to isolate in this movement. So here you can even see a lot better in this angle. I'm just really driving with my elbows down, keeping my shoulders away from those ears. Neck is nice and long. Sorry about that. And then making sure we're squeezing those shoulder blades nice and tight. This is a back exercise, so you again want to stop at chin height. All right, after you do about 3 sets of 10 to 12 of those lat pulls, we're going to go into a lying dumbbell chest press. Well, just a normal dumbbell chest press. Obviously, you have to be lying when you're working your chest. And you want to keep those elbows at a slight angle here. You can see I'm not going directly out to the side. I have a slight arch under my back, which is kind of opening up my abdomen there. I'm still going to keep my core nice and braced and that ribcage nice and packed in, but the arch will kind of make it look like I kind of have my belly sticking out because of that positioning. And the reason why I want to have an arch in the back is because it's going to give a nice deeper stretch in the chest and help me to isolate the chest muscle even more. Following that, after 3 sets of about 10, we're going to go into a seated overhead press. We're going to go down in weight with those dumbbells just very slightly because the shoulder muscle is a smaller muscle. We're going to go down and controlled nice and slow until we hit about 90 degrees or a little bit less. Fully extending, punching the ceiling. You want to bring those weights close together as you extend upward. We're going to do about 3 sets of 10 to 12 here as well. Okay, following that, we're going to go back to your back muscles, and we're going to work the rhomboids here mostly. Earlier, we were working lats, and a lot of people like to do this with a flat bench, but I kind of like to do this, depending on the day, I like to do this with a slightly inclined bench, because that will help me to kind of open up my chest here. I have really tight traps, so this also helps me to make sure I'm not pulling too much in the trap area. When you pull, you want to make sure that elbow goes nice and high to the ceiling. Core stays nice and tight. The supporting hand and knee needs to be close. A lot of people will pull the supporting hand and knee too far apart, and that doesn't really create the most stable position for you to really make sure we're isolating that working arm and getting the most out of that movement. All right, and of course it wouldn't be an upper body day without some isolated accessory work. We're going to go into some bicep curls here. I have a slight turn in here with my hands, and we're going to go nice and slow on the way down and exploding as quick as we can on the way up. Try not to swing the shoulder joints. You just want to keep those elbows at a fixed point here to make sure that we're really isolating the biceps and getting the most out of that movement without using any momentum from the other joints. All right, next we're going to go into a lying skull crush. So I don't know who named this exercise, but basically, you're going to keep those elbows at a fixed point just above the shoulders, hands towards the ceiling. As we bend back, you're going to aim those weights to go to the sides of your temples or side of your forehead. Again, keeping the shoulder blades fixed, not using any momentum from the elbows or the shoulder joints, and just really isolating those triceps there. You should really feel it if you have that form nice and good.
Good morning, y'all. It is Wednesday, and I'm so excited for today's workout because it is a full body workout. We're going to focus mostly on mobility and conditioning, and so I'm really excited because I feel like my body needs some stretching and some mobilizing, and it's really good to get some cardio in. I am currently in a cut right now too. I don't think I mentioned that yet, and I have been trying to break the number on the scale. I tell my clients all the time it's not about the number on the scale, but I have been sitting at this number for a long time. And for those of you with hormonal imbalances or dysfunctions, you know that when you deal with things like endometriosis or PCOS, it's really, really hard for your body to shed weight. And so for me, it is important that I utilize the scale a little bit more and focus on this cut because I am trying to get my body to a healthy weight. So yeah, we're gonna get that going. I'm excited for today's workout. We don't have a lot of time to get it done because I do need to get my computer fixed. So we're going to Apple today, and then I think I'm gonna sit in a coffee shop and do some work. I don't know how long they'll need my computer or if I need to leave it or things like that. So there is a Phil's in this like shopping center that we'll be at, so I'm hoping to be able to do some work there. I have a meeting with my account manager for like all of my social media stuff and my online client work, and then I have a couple client sessions in person this evening, so we got to get to it. But I do have some exciting news to share, which I'm so grateful and excited to share. This morning, I finally broke 100. We're officially at 101 subscribers on YouTube. And so I just want to say thank you so much to those that have been supporting, subscribing, watching these videos. If you're watching this video right now, thank you so much. This has really just been a passion project and really allowing me to just find my hobby that is outside working out or journaling or reading. Those are things that I love to do, but my husband always used to tease me because he's like, you don't have any hobbies. And so I just started diving more into content creation, and YouTube really felt like a fresh palette for me, a fresh canvas for me to be creative and express myself. And yeah, I'm just excited to see something grow from nothing. I started this channel in January, so just 5 or 6 months ago, end of January. So yeah, I don't know, you do the math, but yeah, I'm so excited to have all 101 of you here. So thank you so much, and here's to continue growth together.
Okay, so now we're going into a conditioning mobility type of day. We're going to start with some foam rolling. I really recommend all of my clients to foam roll at least twice a week. And we're going to go do a full body foam rolling here. So we're starting with the calves and working our way up the legs with the glutes and thighs. Next, we're going to roll that back. This is one of my favorite positions on the foam roller. You want to make sure you're mobilizing the arms back and forth too to really get deep into those back muscles. I like to also lean into one side or the other because your back muscle is a big muscle. Then we're going to go into some warm-ups here. We're going to open up those hips, get a nice big stretch with that back. You're going to step one leg forward into a long lunge with the straight leg behind you, and then you're going to reach to the ceiling towards that front leg. Next, we're going to go into some lateral lunges here. You saw this earlier on our leg day. We're going to go into this sort of Cossack squats. I started with the side lunge and then decided that I needed to go deeper into that stretch, so turned it into a Cossack squat. And next, we're going to warm up on the treadmill. So we're going to do some interval sprints today. And I like to start with a nice walk here. You don't want to just come out hot out the gates right away. You want to make sure you're building up that momentum first. So starting with a walk for a few minutes and then a light jog. And then you'll see we'll start to ramp up the speed. And the target here is to do 1 minute sprints with a 1 minute rest in between. After you did about 10 rounds, you should be at about 20 minutes of cardio total. You want to cool it down with 2 to 3 minutes of just a normal walk. You want to make sure that your heart rate comes back to normal and your breathing also comes back to normal.
Juneteenth. Gabriel and I are kind of taking somewhat of a day off. You don't really get days off. There's not really such thing as a day off when you're like the sole business owner, and especially as a trainer, people still want to work out. People still want to be coached, even on holidays. So I'm still working today, but I mean, I'm kind of going a little bit slower. Gabriel and I got to sleep in, which was really nice. Wednesday night and Thursday night are usually date nights. So last night we went on a date. It's usually movie night, but I've been really trying to like be diligent with my rest and my sleep. So we just went to dinner instead, and then we came back and we both ended up like chilling. Read my book last night. Unfortunately, I did not go to sleep as early as I wanted to, or as I've happened this week so far. I think when like I know that I don't have to be up, or it's like a weekend, or like today a holiday, my mind just kind of like automatically, I don't know, it just doesn't, it's just harder to stay disciplined, I think, especially with managing ADHD. So yeah, so I slept in a little bit, went to bed a little bit later, but it's okay, I feel good. Read my Bible, wrote in my journal, and now we are having our pre-workout for leg day, which I'm very excited about. Lower body days are my favorite days. I don't know why, they just are. I just like having strong legs, and I like lower body movements. I just feel like I work out more intensely when I do lower body. So we're gonna load up the pre-workout. Normally we just do dates and peanut butter, but I think today we're going to add some chocolate chips in there. They're sugar-free, but some extra fat, and then a little bit of extra honey, or a little bit of extra carbs from the honey. I don't even know if I put enough on there. Nothing too crazy. Of course, we do have to do our salt, but we went to dinner last night and I woke up a little bit puffy and bloated, so I think it's because dinner was very salty. Usually when we go out to eat or we order food in, it's just a lot saltier, and I usually wake up a little bit more puffy, so I think maybe we'll leave the salt out for today. Cheers. It's so good. If you haven't tried dates with peanut butter and chocolate chips, a little bit of sea salt, drizzle of honey, it's like the perfect snack / like dessert without going too crazy. So good. So Gabriel's working out with me today. And I made him some pre-workout, so he's gonna try this. I don't think he's tried it before. The pre-workouts with the dates.
Date chocolate chip. There's no nuts in this, right?
No. Why? What do you think? What do you think?
Sweet. Peanut buttery. Soapy. Smooth.
Yummy, huh?
Are these all mine?
Yeah. Yummy, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want more. You want all of them, huh?
Mm-hmm.
He likes it. All right, we are back to it with another leg day. We're gonna get back to those hip hinges here to get those hips nice and warmed up, those glutes nice and warmed up, hamstrings nice and warmed up. We're gonna do about one set of 10 to 12, and then we're gonna go with those lateral lunges again. These are my favorite. I really feel my hips opening up, and I get a nice big stretch in those inner thighs as well. This will really help you get some depth in compound lifts like squats and deadlifts. Then we're gonna go into this, I forgot what it's called, but it's basically like a squat with a straight leg stretch. You're gonna reach for those toes with a straight leg, and then as you sit yourself into the squat, you're gonna reach those arms up first and then come up from the squat. This is gonna feel a little sticky at first, but it's really good for warming up the hips, glutes, and arms. Then we're gonna go into some leg swings, some bridges, some reaches with the thoracic spine. I like to do these with the leg straight out to get more of that stretch in that inner thigh and those hips. Starting with some squats, we're gonna do 4 sets of 10, and you always wanna warm up with a very lightweight first, so maybe that is just the barbell or some 5s or 10s on the side, depending on how heavy you normally go for your max weight. All right, then I'm gonna go into 115 pounds here. Again, 10 reps for each set. As you lower, you wanna make sure your rib cage stays tight, your core is nice and braced. You wanna break out the hips while simultaneously bending at the knees like you're sitting back into a chair without dropping your chest. At the bottom of your squat, you're gonna push through those heels and toes and then squeeze your butt cheeks as you're standing. Do not wait until those legs are straight to squeeze the butt because that will defeat the whole purpose. You want to make sure your glutes are actually engaged in this movement the entire time. Okay, and same idea here. We want to get stronger and get more muscle development and muscle growth. So you want to progressively overload each working set. So I started with 115 and then I added some 10s on each side. So now we're at 135. Each working set, you want to go up by 5 to 10 pounds each set. All right, and following those squats, of course, we have to do hip thrusts. Now, last time I said I like to do these first or at the beginning of the workout. So following the squats, this is still going to be considered the first half of your workout. So doing the hip thrust after the squats will be totally fine. You should still have enough energy to go heavy. And you already know how to do this. We went over the form on the first leg day of this week. But just to review here, you want to break at the hips, keeping the head in line with the spine the whole time. So you don't want to break at the neck. You want to keep the chin tucked. You want to make sure that your heels are right underneath those knees so that you can drive through those heels and feel the glutes and hamstrings working properly here. If you don't feel your glutes or you don't feel your hamstrings and you feel things like your quads working or calves working, you want to make sure that you redo a proper setup here. It means that the form is not necessarily optimal and you're not targeting the right muscle groups that we want in this movement. All right, so next we're going to go into some kettlebell work, and kettlebells are some of my favorite pieces of equipment to use. And we're going to go into unilateral work. If you remember from our first lower body day, that means single leg work. We're going to go into a lateral or a side lunge here, holding the weight opposite of the working leg. As you push off of that working leg, you are going to stand in a balanced position here. So making sure that you can stabilize, pick a weight that's going to be challenging but not too heavy. This is considered the second half of your workout, so you don't want to try to go too heavy here. That's not the goal. The goal here is to work on balance and stability while still challenging the muscles. So again, picking a moderate weight but not too heavy here so that you can maintain the form and have a nice good balanced position at the top of that movement. Okay, I have not done box jumps in probably over a year as well, so these felt very foreign in my body, but my goal this year is to get back to more athletic type of movement. I'm typically just a weights type of girly. I love to lift heavy weights. I love to just be in the gym lifting weights, barbells, dumbbells, things like that. But I decided to work on my conditioning today, and our finisher is box jumps today. Now for box jumps, especially if you have never done these or haven't done them in a while, just starting with a box that's just below knee height or even lower is going to be plenty for you. You don't have to go too high here. The goal is to get a nice soft landing, so you don't want to hear yourself landing on the box, and you want to get a nice squatting position to push off and then get a nice landed position. Never jump off the box. You always want to make sure that you are stepping down from the box to reset. For box jumps, we are going to do 3 sets of 10 before going into a nice cool down stretch here. We're going to start with some isolated quad stretching here. You want to tuck the back toe so you get a nice deep stretch in the hips as well. And then I like to lean over with that same arm to get a stretch into my lats. Next, we're going to go into a deeper hip stretch here, and then pulling back to stretch out those hamstrings and making sure you're holding each stretch 20 to 30 seconds each side.
and happy Friday. Congratulations on making it through another week. And this will probably be the final workout that you guys will see in this week's week of workouts. Tomorrow, Saturday, I still will do another workout, but as you may know, I usually do weekly vlogs every Friday, so I want to stay on schedule for y'all and actually get this uploaded later today. Tomorrow is going to be just another leg day anyway, so it's not going to be too much different than what you've already seen me do this week. But yeah, with that being said, today is also InBody scan day, and I like to do InBody scans typically every week because it is very easy to get sidetracked by the number on the scale, or sometimes a lot of us can have body dysmorphia and we think that we have less muscle or more muscle than we think we do, or more fat or less fat than we think we do. So it's just nice to have actual data to show you exactly where your body is at. So I'm excited to do that. I didn't get to do one last week. I think last week was a very busy day. Tomorrow I have a doctor's appointment, so I'm going to prioritize the InBody scan today, and then following that we'll do a brief upper body day. I'll take you guys through another upper body day today, maybe some light cardio, but I am feeling pretty sore this week. Y'all held me accountable to go a little extra harder than I normally do, and so my body is feeling that, but it feels nice. So I'm going to go a little bit lighter today and tomorrow in my workouts. And yeah, today's going to be a full day, which I'm very excited for. I'm actually going to be starting another vlog tonight. So as soon as we wrap this one up, we're going to start filming for another one, which I'm excited for. But yeah, we got to pack up our pre-workout and our protein because we're going to head to the gym where I actually have a membership at to do the InBody scan and then do a light upper body day. And yeah, just get this day going. Okay, our final workout of the week is going to be upper body again. So at this point, we've done one conditioning day, 2 lower body days, and 2 upper body days. We're going to start with some eccentric push-ups here before going into a neutral dumbbell chest press. Neutral just means your palms are facing each other. You want to make sure your tempo is nice and slow on the way down and then exploding the way up. Again, getting that nice arch in the back to open up the chest muscles here while still maintaining tightness in the core. Next, we're going to go into a 2-arm lat pull, and you're going to be kneeling for this one because I want to engage more of the core today. So those abs and those glutes are going to work in just an isolated position while the back is the main muscle working here. You want to get a grip that's similar to the one that I'm using here, or you can use 2 handles, and we're going to do 3 sets of 12 before going into some rear delt pulls. I like to do these standing just because I am pretty short, and so the machine that was available at the time I started my set was a little bit too high for me. So I'm standing here, I'm resting my chest against the machine, and I'm leaning at a slight angle to really isolate the rear delt muscles, which is the back shoulder muscle. And you're going to do 3 sets of 15 before finishing off your workout, and that's all I have for you. Thanks for joining me with a week of workouts, and I'll see you next week for next week's vlog.